Identity. Now there's a word that holds power, isn't it? Who we are, who we pretend to be, the masks we wear every single day. But here's the kicker. What if I told you that the way you think about yourself, about others, about everything you know, is just one big lie? A fallacy dressed up as truth, hiding in plain sight. It's called the Masked Man Fallacy, and it plays with your little mind like a cat with a mouse. You think you've got it all figured out. You think you can tell who's behind the mask. But oh, my friends, the joke is on you. Let's start with something simple. You know Batman, right? Everyone knows him. But what if I told you Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same person? Ah, but you'll say, I know Bruce Wayne. I don't know Batman personally, so they can't be the same. That, my dear friends, is the heart of the Masked Man Fallacy. It's that delicious cognitive bias where you believe two things can't be identical because your knowledge of them is different. You split the world into neat little boxes, as if reality cares about the names you've scribbled on the labels. Think about it. You're at work, and there's this guy, let's call him Steve. Good old Steve, the quiet guy in the corner. Doesn't say much, does his job, always polite. You know Steve. Then one day you hear about this lunatic who got arrested last night, robbed a store, smashed some windows. You watch the footage, but the guy's wearing a mask. You'd never think it could be Steve. Steve's a good guy. You know Steve. You don't know the masked lunatic. But guess what? Steve is the masked man. And you never saw it coming because your mind can't reconcile the two. That's the fallacy. You think knowing someone under one context makes them different in another, but behind every mask, there's always someone you thought you knew. Oh, but it gets better. Let's take something a little closer to home. Your sweet little granny. You visit her every Sunday, eat her cookies, listen to her stories. She's harmless, right? But what if I told you that back in the day, Granny wasn't so sweet? What if I told you she was a con artist, hustling her way through life? You'd laugh, wouldn't you? Not my granny, you'd say. But why? Because the person she was is hidden behind the mask of the sweet old lady you know today. Your brain can't handle it, can't accept that someone could be both things at once, so you split them in two. You make them into different people, Granny and whoever that crook was, but they're the same person all along, and that's the game we play, isn't it? The identities we build, the characters we craft. You think you're different with your friends than you are with your family. You think the professional you at work is somehow not the same as the party animal you on a Friday night, but peel back the layers, strip off the masks, and there's only one of you. You think you're hiding, but really, you're just fooling yourself, and you do it over and over again, thinking you can compartmentalize, thinking that the parts are somehow separate from the whole, but they're not. They never were. Now, let's get a little philosophical. You ever wonder why people fall for politicians, for leaders, for anyone who's selling a dream? It's because we all wear masks. The candidate standing on stage, spouting promises. They wear the mask of the savior, the mask of the ideal, and you buy it. Hook, line, and sinker. But the moment they take off the mask, when they fail you, when they break those promises, you can't believe it's the same person. You feel betrayed, but really, you betrayed yourself. You chose to believe in the mask. You chose to ignore the person behind it. You see, the Masked Man Fallacy doesn't just trick you into thinking people are different. It lets you escape. It lets you pretend you're not responsible for the lies you tell yourself. Oh, I didn't know, you'll say. I didn't realize they were like that. But deep down, you knew. You always knew. You just didn't want to face it. So you pretend that the person in the mask and the person underneath are somehow different, that their actions under one identity aren't tied to the other, but they are, every single time. Here's a real kicker for you. Think about how you see yourself. You're not immune to this fallacy, you know. You're wearing a mask right now. Maybe it's the mask of the victim. Maybe it's the mask of the hero. Maybe you tell yourself you're a good person, someone who makes the right choices, who does the right thing. But strip it all away, and what are you? You're the same as everyone else. Just another face in the crowd, pretending you're different, pretending you're special. But you're not. Take relationships, for example. You fall in love, don't you? You look at that person across from you and you think they're perfect. They're the one. But that's just the mask. The version of them you see is a reflection of what you want, not who they really are. And when the cracks start to show, when the mask slips and you see the real person underneath, you can't handle it. You refuse to believe it's the same person, so you try to separate them to preserve the fantasy. But reality doesn't care about your fantasies. It'll tear them apart every time. And the world, oh, the world is full of masks. You think countries are different. You think cultures, ideologies, religions, they're all just masks too. You look at someone from the other side of the world, someone who believes something different, and you say, that's not who I am. But take away the beliefs, take away the culture, take away the language, and you're the same flesh and bone underneath. Just another human hiding behind another mask. The differences you cling to are as fragile as the paper-thin identities you build. So here's the real punchline. The Masked Man Fallacy isn't just a trick your brain plays on you. It's the story of your life. It's how you get through every day, pretending that the faces you see, the roles you play, are somehow separate from the truth. But the truth? The truth is that the masks never come off. Not really. You'll keep pretending, keep convincing yourself that you know who's behind the mask, that you know yourself, that you know others, but you don't. And the more you try to separate the mask from the man, the deeper you fall into the illusion. Because, my friends, at the end of the day, you're not fooling anyone but yourselves. And that's the greatest joke of all.